Dragonborn here, and this is part 2 on how to wave in TF2 Dodgeball. Now, if you saw my part 3 video, that wasn't really a serious video, that was just a joke. I didn't even make part 2 yet. If you have the basics down, this is a good video for you because I'm going to be going into the timing of waving, how to out-time your opponent. And if you like a refresher, because it's been a couple of years, 5 years since I made that video, pretty much give you a good refresher, but what I said back then was spot on. So if you're just learning how to wave at a basic part, I'd look at that video, but I'll do a quick run through. So as soon as I start, I like to assess how hard am I flicking. Like, did I just get on? Am I flicking like uncontrollably? Does everything feel super smooth? Like my reflexes feel good that day? So just start playing. Like, try to do, like, if you know the basics of waving, do those motions and adjust your sense to what it is that you think is happening to you right now. So if you're not warmed up and you feel like you're flicking too quick, like right now I'm flicking a little quick, I go into your senses, adjust your sensitivity to what it is that you feel comfortable with to warm up, and then go back to your main sense. So I could go like 5. My drags will be more pronounced. They'll take more space. I can warm up. And then as I get more attuned to the FPS and the physics, how many people are on, go back. So now, the basics of waving. So, if you're standing around, like, let's say a couple feet away, like right here, and you want to figure out how to wave properly, always cover your outer areas before your inner areas. So the rocket has a tendency to fly upwards depending on what server you're on. So you're going to want to aim as far out as you can, and you're not going to want to just look straight and back up to adjust. Because look what I'm doing right here. If I'm backing up, the person in front of me who's fighting me is already backing me up, so they're already running me down. What you want to do is you want to be able to aim out quicker than the rocket gets there, and you want to out-time your opponent, kind of force it, like not back down where you are. When you wave, you want to pull the rocket down slightly above the player's head. So I'm aiming at him, I'm aiming slightly above him right now when I pull it down. And when I pull it down, I'm sinking my air blast. So I air blast and pull it down. You don't want to mess with the timing. You might hear people say aim above the rocket. That's kind of a handicap. You want to do what feels natural. The idea is, as long as you're looking at it and you drag it, it'll go above it. It'll go in that direction. So I can aim at it. I can flick. I can do a quick flick. I can drag it slow. It doesn't matter. As long as I'm aiming at it and pulling it in the direction of my enemy and above their head. You're going to want to do a long drag. The longer your pull is, the longer the wave will be. So if I do this really long pull, it'll create a bigger wave like that. But if I do a quick one like this, like that, it'll be tiny. And that has to just do with the turn rate, the physics, depends on what server you're on. Then I'm done with the basics of waving. You can move when you wave, you can stand still when you wave. If you stand still when you wave, you're going to have to do what I said at the beginning of this video, which is aim directly as wide as you can, because it's going to want to shoot over you. If you're moving, like let's say you want to play defensively, you can have them back you up, whatever, and wave while you move around. But here's where the technique comes in that I want to get into in today's video, is if you're backing up, I can flip quicker and air blast quicker. I can adjust my wave to account for distance. So if I'm moving away, the person's pressuring me, I can aim earlier, like this, and I'll have to pull in slower, but as I'm moving away, I'll already have the aiming done. It can't out-time me because I've already gotten the aiming out of the way. So this guy's spiking me, I'm aiming out wider, and now I'm ready to come back. And then you can move forward again. But as you move forward, you need to aim quicker. See, so the further you move away, you can flick slower. And the closer you move, you want to increase your flick. Always make sure you're keeping those basics. And just start flicking wider than the angle of it coming at me. And sometimes that'll save you, it'll make you get a big wave. That's when people start saying just flick up and down. But once you gain perfect muscle memory, you can focus in on that crazy curve and you can just rip it in the direction you want. And that focus is what's gonna take control of the wave. You can push it in multiple directions. I can bring it from my right to my left, bring it from my left to my right. And this is all dependent on sensitivity. My sense is 6.5 and 0.27. Now I can go between that and let's do 420. 4.02. And that was with 400 DPI. So let's go up to 1150 DPI. Now my drags will be quicker and more pronounced and more stable. They might not be quicker, they'll be wider. So I'll be able to get up here faster because higher DPI means reaching a higher part of your screen, crossing more pixels. So if you're having trouble getting to the wide areas of your screen, raise your sense and raise your DPI. Or just raise your DPI, don't even raise your sense. If you're having trouble, now here's the other part of waving. If somebody's directing you, like you're on a small map, you want to have good control of your inwards flicks. Now in my original wave video I said worry about the outwards. You need to worry about inwards too, like this. So if you can't calculate somebody directing you like that, they'll snipe you. Advice would be to, if you're waving like on a small map and you're trying to out-time them with directs and waves, but like direct waves, not wide ones, always be sure to switch it up to wide waves because you're never going to only get direct waves. Just have your speeding down so as it progresses into a higher spike battle, you can start waving them. So the best weakness is pretty much no weakness. Unpredictable. You're in the center. Now you're wide. Never think waving has to be one way. You can wave at the highest angle. You can wave it in your center angles, which shall determine if you can play and wave is the physics and your reflexes. If you think you can't do it, assess what you think is making you slow. If it means more practice, if it means adjusting your sense, do it. So as long as you know where the rocket is, you can memorize that angle. Thus creating a more consistent pattern. Because that's what I see in most people, is they forget that you still need to have the basic sound. You need to know how to speed, you need to know how to hit the rocket. So I'm spiking it, I'm doing everything that I can to hit it, and waving is just a secondary thing. But once you become good at the basics, like that, you can spike it. You can turn that spike into a wave. You need to work your way up. Because if you just start trying to master waving and you never practice speeding or spiking, awkward angles like shooting it to the side, pulling it in, what I like to do is I like to alternate angles like this. Switch it up. It keeps you fresh. Don't stick with the same angles. If you really want to know the deep part of how you can wave in really OP ways, if you look at the rocket and how fast it's going, and you can beat the speed of the rocket, it doesn't matter the distance, like this, unless it flies over you, you can pretty much push it into a wave. You can force a wave on any opponent like this. That's under another speed wave technique. Side waves like this. You can fly trap it. Groovy made that one up, which is you wave it in a backward motion like that. But the basics are what's going to save you and make you do better waves. If you know how high it spikes, look how big that wave I can make it. So stick to your basics. Learn the flow of the rocket, and you'll learn how to wave in no time.